Welcome to another podcast here at Gaslec, live from Gaslec Podcast Towers. We'll call it that from now on, Podcast Towers. So just over here in the historic city of Rochester, or Strood as some may call it, because we're that side of the river. Are we, right now, are we a man of Kent or a Kentish man? If you know the difference, I do, because I was told by an Irish fella, funny enough, in a really remote part of Southern Ireland, in a pub, and he worked in Kent as a lorry driver, and he told me what the difference was between a Kentish man and a man of Kent. I didn't really know. I've heard the phrase. I've never looked it up. So if you do know, send us an email in it and I'll give you a little mention. But you mustn't Google it. Obviously, if you Google it, you're going to find out the answer. But yeah, I never knew. And I remember through a pub name. And that's how I remember it now, in Raynham. But anyway, enough about that. So this podcast, we're going to do a little video podcast on this. So if you're listening to all the audio side, it's going to be a little bit of a show and tell, as it were, about the subject of pipe flexis and how they can go wrong, sort of the pros and cons with them, really. So as you know, if I do the video, I don't have that little intro of me doing that pre-recording. Sorry, all my friend Sean to tell you about the podcast. So ultimately, this podcast is to do with helping out young people coming into the industry, people that are changing horses halfway through the race of their careers, want to get into plumbing and heating or interested in it, or into the renewable side, and then obviously you need a bit of a background of plumbing to obviously if you're going into air source heat pumps and stuff like that. So you need that background. So if you're in that stage in your life, you're a keen DIYer, that you're interested in the nuts and bolts and the bits and bobs with it all, or if you're having some work done or plan having some work done, and you just want to make sure that what's being done and what you're being told, you sort of can cross-reference it, really. So this is all of this podcast stuff is all of my opinion. So I do a bit of research, but it's all a bit scratchy, to be honest with you. I'm not that well organised. So anyway, I'll stop rattling on. We've got on for a couple of minutes now. So tap flexis. So we call them tap flexis. Typically, they'll come off the bottom of a tap. There'll be normally a silver braided hose. The John Geesty ones, the push fit types, they'll have like a little bit of a white sort of sleeve to them. They all look very nice. But inside, they're made up of mainly the same sort of construction, really. So they're made of a rubber hose surrounded by metal braiding. And what that does is that the metal braiding holds the rubber hose together. The rubber bit inside on its own can't hold the water pressure and will go pop. So, so this is metal braiding. So when they're all new and lovely and all shiny, you put them on. So typically, the bottom of a toilet, it come down of a bit of a snake and connects up to the pipe, or go via a valve to the pipe, or it's got a valve included even and goes to the pipe. And it just takes up that little undulation of a bit of fixed pipe work. If you've got a little bit of movement in something, it's obviously very good with that, because they're not designed to flex continuously. But if there is a bit of vibration through a pipe, fixed copper, and sort of the tap connectors can actually fail. So it's nice if you're on a toilet and you're getting on and off it and the floor's a bit wobbly, obviously that can sort of flex a bit with it, which is absolutely fine. If you've got a basin and kids are leaning on it and the taps move a little bit, absolutely fine. It will take care of that, not a problem at all. And any vibrations through the water pipes, like pipe hammer and stuff like that, where they can sort of shudder a little bit, it'll take care of that as well. It's not a problem. So by design, they can flex. Are they designed to be pulled in and out continuously? Not at all, no. But they can do for a short amount of time. So we went to a job yesterday and we changed the kitchen tap in a small commercial setup. It was a children's nursery. And where the existing flexis from the tap didn't meet the copper pipe, somebody had done flexi and then a flexi onto the tap flexi. So we had two flexible tails because basically the pipes were too short, and we're not really designed to do that, to be honest. So most taps nowadays come with pipe flexis, and they come on so they come out the tap on flexible tails. We put them onto a valve and then onto the pipework, or pipework then valve, and then off it goes back downstream. So we only have really one set, but this had two because whoever did it was a bit lazy, to be honest. But it was done a few years ago, so we can't point the finger at anyone who did it. So I just bought in from the car the tap flexi that I took out. So I just want to show you. So on the audio side, I'll try and be a bit descriptive. So if you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see this video here. So we have a fitting on the end of the pipe. It's a copper pipe with like a compression fitting, like a transition fitting from 3/4 BSP to 15 compression, which is the BSP is in a male going into the female side, which is this bit here. So that's the transition bit there, and that's just a nut and olive, and that's the 1/2 inch female to go into that fitting there. So what's happened is, and you can see by the corrosion on side on the stuff there, is that water's leaked down. So it was sort of in this sort of arrangement. So water's leaked down onto the silver braiding. Now then, what's happened is the silver braiding. So this end looks absolutely like brand new almost, this end here, it looks lovely and shiny, but where it's had the water on, you can see it's all gone rusty and awful. Then what happens is, because it's under pressure, the little strains of metal that weave that goes up to create that support for the internal rubber hose, they rust. And when they rust under tension, they go ping. And I don't know if you can see this on my mobile phone on the forward camera. They look like little hairs. I think you've got a good picture there. They come off. They are like bloody needles. I'll tell you now. I had about 30 little stabs off these yesterday, taking these out. And you can see the little tiny bits there. Very similar if you wear your car tyres down too low and the cords get exposed. The little cords start to split and they're like little syringes and they'll get you. Exactly the same for these little fellas. So then what happens is they go ping, ping, ping. Gets to a point where you get an opening and then you can start getting a bit of a bulbous piece of the rubber hose on the inside starts coming out, almost like what's the word? Like a hernia as it's coming out. And then basically it comes out and goes pop. And once it goes pop, you can't stop it. It's finished. And then now we've got a massive water leak because that was sitting at mains pressure. That one, it was off a combi boiler as well. So hot, cold, I ain't got a clue, but that would just run and run and run. And being in a small commercial, Friday at 6 o'clock, everyone's gone home until 7 o'clock on Monday morning. So imagine if that went pop on the Friday evening. That's got all day Friday evening, all day Saturday, all day Sunday until Monday morning when they turn up, and literally the whole place will be underwater. And there'll be thousands, tens of thousands of pounds worth of damage, tens of thousands, probably going to the hundreds of thousands in that environment, to be honest, with all the kids' toys and the bits and the bobs there. And then obviously the downturn, the shutting of the nursery and the kids and the impact of the finance coming into the business and all that, literally for a free £4, whatever it is, tap flexi going pop, just because somebody hasn't kept on top of routine maintenance of just inspecting these things. So if you're in a commercial environment, keep on top of it. Just your maintenance person. We do it for some companies, going around doing when we're doing like gas checks and stuff. We go around and we check all the TMVs, thermostatic mixing valves for water temperatures in like care homes and stuff. And we'll do a visual inspection. We also do a leisure centre in Gillingham, up on the A2 in Watling Street there. And then we'll go through and we'll check all these flexes and we'll check all the basins and we'll make sure there's no leaks on any of the traps and stuff like that. So we go through the whole building and all the water systems, checking these little things annually. But most people in their houses don't. So please look out for these tap flexis. You'll have them on your basin, you'll have them on your bath. Bit difficult when you've got a bath panel, fully agree with you. But I don't know, however you want to play it, but they do need checking. If they're getting wet, they're getting rusty. If they're getting rusty, they're going to start to fail. So definitely worth it. Or even if you've got a bath, you know, it might not be a fitting fail, but if you've got a bit of a leak around where the part of the tap comes through and the water's creeping down there, it can then run down the pipe and cause that. So it hasn't got to be a fitting that's leaking. It could be leaking from the bath side, from the top side, leaking down and through. And it'll run down this little fella and... before long, it'll chew through it, rust up, corrode, ping, ping, ping. It'll be a couple of years, being honest, but they'll go. So just keep on top of that. There are some really cheap versions which aren't water approved or water regulations, which is called RAS, WRAS. So always, if you do change them, make sure they're RAS approved. They're not a lot more money, be honest, but it's the rubber pipe inside the tap flexi that I keep calling them tap flexis, but you can get them for not taps. You can just buy them for like little extensions. But yeah, you can get different quality rubbers. So the RAS approved ones are a rubber which are suitable for drinking water. Some call it portable water. So, but it's drinking water basically. And another quick thing, we're not really going to see it on the audio side, obviously, but inside we have, you can just see it on there, the bore size. So we look at the outside and we go, oh, that's a nice chunky monkey bit of kit there. Probably the same size as my little finger coming through there. Sure, we get loads of water through that. But actually, when you look down through the hole, we've probably only got about 7 mil. So if we've got 15 mil going in and 7 mil coming out, well, that's a restriction, isn't it? So that will restrict the amount of water that flows. So not every tap flexi is the same. So always look for the biggest bore possible. So if you're using someone like Screwfix, I've mentioned them a few times on the podcast. They don't sponsor the podcast. They don't give us anything for it. But just because it's an ease of looking up data, they will have different bore sizes. So go for the biggest bore size that you can. There may be a few extra quid, but it'll give you a slightly better water flow. It won't really matter on basins, really. Won't really matter on toilets on the fill time, be honest. It's the bath. That's where it's going to make the biggest difference. So spend the money on there, because that's where you need the biggest water flow, because that's when you need the most amount of water to come out the tap at the quickest rate to fill that thing up to have a bath. But yeah, so tap flexis or flexible water pipes, as they're probably better off probably known. Yeah, there we are. So if you're listening on the podcast, on the audio only platforms, so hopefully you've got a bit of information from that. If you're watching on YouTube, obviously you could see the flexible pipe. So if you're an audio only listening, if you look on the YouTube channel on our Gaslec podcast channel, you'll be able to listen to all of these recordings, actually the audio and the videos. You can actually, all of them's on there. So I think this is going to be episode 17 that's being released. So apparently most podcasts don't make it, 80% of podcasts don't make it past episode 4. I was hearing the other day, which is great. We're up to episode 17 already. So I can't believe how quick it's all gone from the concept of trying to do a podcast and is it achievable, what we're going to do, getting some advice from other people that do podcasts as well. It can feel a little bit lonely if you're ever into a podcast. If you've got any questions about doing your own podcast in whatever industry, it doesn't matter. Send me an email and I'll talk you through all the stuff that we've gone through and how we set it up and some of the pitfalls of my early days. If you listen to episode 1 and then you episode 17, this is, I was trying to be a bit too posh and a bit too DJ-y, I think, right at the beginning. So I got a lot of feedback from people that know me and said, just be yourself. So, and that's what I've done. I'm just myself. I say I say I cough, I rub my nose a bit. Yeah, that's what I do. That's me. And if you ever meet me, this is who I am. So yeah, if you've got any questions about setting up a podcast, send it to podcast@gaslec.net. Not a problem at all. We'll do our best to help you. If you've got any questions about tap flexis, pipe flexis, email us. If you want to come onto the show, don't be scared. We've had a lot of people right at the beginning. Yeah, I'll come on. That'd be great. Where are they? But it's just a conversation. We've got another little setup just the other side there, which we bring that down. Which we bring the boom mics down for with the guards and stuff like that. So we can just sit around the desk over there, bring the microphones down, have a cup of tea, have a biscuit, and then just have a chat and record it. And it'll just be a flowing chat between the pair of us. So if as long as you can just add some value to our listeners in whatever industry you're in, whether it be heat loss, plumbing, electrical, even down to flooring, acoustic flooring, thermal, sort of the thermal advantages of having flooring, hardwood over carpets and bits and pieces like that. So if you've got anything that could sort of link in with what we do, come onto the show. We can do it on the telephone and we could do it into the office here. Not a problem at all either way. If you've got any questions you want answered, happy to answer them, not a problem at all. That's a business one. Podcast at gaslec.net. Gaslec spelt like that. Okay, guys, you take care. Have a wonderful day. Take care. Thank you. Bye.